Hey guys, and welcome to the continuation of my pre-release analysis for Winter Shopper Rupee. I wanted to make this follow-up video as soon as possible because I forgot to include the part of my script to the final cut of my previous video. So today I will be going over those missing points as well as some additional notes to clear up some confusion. First, I forgot to mention that Winter Shopper Rupee will actually be the first Burst Type 1 Assault Rifle user. And this matters because the weapon type affects how fast the burst meter is filled up. Characters with the same weapon type have the same fire rate, and the only difference, if any, are the reload speed or ammo capacity. This correlates to her kit as a whole, which we'll go over in the next parts of this video. To get an idea on how fast a Winter Rupee team will fill up the burst meter, we can run a team that will simulate very similarly to a Winter Shopper Rupee team composition. For this test, I am on my alternate account where I have regular Rupee in place of Winter Shopper Rupee, because it is safe to assume that they will be identical, if not very similar when it comes to their fire rate, reload speed, and ammo capacity. The burst type will not matter for this test because we only need to get a rough idea on how fast a Winter Rupee team charges their burst meter. And the only important factor for this is the weapon type. So I will use characters that have similar weapon type to the characters that we would normally use with Winter Shopper Rupee. We have Soldier OW, who uses an SMG just like the other Burst Type 1 characters that you will use with Winter Rupee, namely Lighter and Volume. We also have Admi, who will be a good candidate for Winter Rupee teams, but she can also be replaced by Dala. I also have Julia and Privity. Privity has one of the best synergies with Winter Rupee, and you can consider Julia as a placeholder for your main DPS. This is the closest we can get to simulating a team as if we are using Winter Shopper Rupee, just for knowing the time that it takes to fill up the burst meter. After running this a few times, it took roughly 12 seconds to fill up the burst meter from the very beginning of the stage up to the point where the burst meter was full. There might be a small margin of error, but it only comes down to a few milliseconds. And in practice, there will also be other factors in play, such as the stage environment, the few seconds of downtime in between the waves of enemies, as well as the different buffs that increase reload speed, charging speed, reduce or increase ammo capacity, and any other buffs or debuffs that affects how the weapon functions. For the sake of this test, I decided to take the 12 seconds as the baseline for what we can expect from Rupee's burst meter charge time. We need to know this because depending on how you build your team, you might have problems in getting shopping stacks from your skill 2. Getting maximum stacks won't be a problem in your first cycle since all of your burst skills are off cooldown. But there are some factors that will affect her rotations after the first meter cycle. Now that we know that it takes around 12 seconds to fill up the burst meter, we will take a look at how the burst skill cooldowns play out in this team to see if we can consistently stack the shopping passive in a standard Winter Shopper Rupee team. Keep in mind that we need to be able to use a burst skill within 20 seconds so that we can keep the shopping stacks from her skill 2. After using Winter Rupee's burst skill, it will let you re-enter the burst phase 1. And this also increases the reload speed for your allies by 63.17% for 10 seconds at level 10. So this will help you shave off a few seconds from the usual 12 seconds when you fill up the burst meter a second time around. The rotations will go like this. Winter Shopper Rupee uses her burst skill and re-enters burst phase 1. The team will spend roughly around 10 seconds to fill up the burst meter a second time around. The team will go through burst 2 and 3, spending around 12 seconds, counting from the use of the burst type 2, until the end of the full burst. Then, Winter Rupee's burst loading speed bonus gets triggered at the end of the full burst. By that time, Winter Rupee's burst skill should be off cooldown, and then you will just have to fill up the burst meter again, but this time with the help of the increased burst gauge loading speed, and then the cycle just repeats. Looking at this, the shopping stack from Winter Rupee's skill 2 will easily reach maximum stacks, because nobody in this team is even close to the 20-second limit before it expires. Take note that this rotation is only applicable for 2-1-2 teams, and specifically the ones that have 20-second cooldowns on the burst 1 and 2 characters, and 40-second cooldowns on the burst type 3. But you also have breathing room for replacing either your burst 1 or burst 2 character with someone that has a 40-second cooldown if you need to, but optimally, you would stick to the ones that only have 20 seconds on their cooldown. This is also assuming that there are no external factors affecting your rotations. If your characters get stunned, it could mess up the shopping stacks for your team. And if some of your characters get downed, it can be quite hard to guarantee that you will still be able to get maximum stacks of shopping. I would do calculations for a 1-1-3 team, but that composition doesn't really make sense for Winter Shopper Rupee, since you won't be able to take advantage of her burst phase reset. So now, what are the pros and cons for Winter Shopper Rupee? Her biggest pro is that she lets you use burst type 1 consecutively. This opens up a lot of new team compositions that wouldn't have been possible without her kit. Another huge benefit from Winter Shopper Rupee is that she increases reload speed, and in combination with Privity, I can see this being a meta combination for most DPS characters, especially for Scarlet. As for her cons, the only thing I can think of is that she's basically restricting you from using characters that have 60-second cooldown, which means Rapunzel and Miracle Fairy are out of the picture when it comes to Winter Rupee teams. If you use characters that have 60-second cooldowns on their burst, or if you use too many characters that have 40-second cooldowns, it is very unlikely that you will get maximum stacks of shopping from Rupee's skill 2. Overall, Winter Rupee is looking to be a very strong character that fits really well in the meta, regardless of whether they change the number values on her kit. If her kit will still function the same when she gets released, then she is definitely a character worth considering. Hopefully this cleared up a lot of things in my previous video. I really didn't mean to leave out an important part of my script for that video. As always, if you found this video useful, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.